Welcome to another episode of Unemployed Guy on the Internet. In a disturbing twist of events, picking fights with other content creators. Last time I had a tiff with the purveyors of despair, the contributors to the despair economy, and I realized I was wrong. I can ride the despair economy. They identify wounds inflicted onto society and they raise awareness about these wounds and whether or not they're profiting from my grievances or potentially exacerbating the problem. You can argue that their pursuits are noble. Today I'm picking a fight with self-help experts. Now this isn't an area that I'm particularly familiar with, but I like to call myself a learned person, and then I can more or less kind of guess the content in question. They're going to say things like, you got to get up early, don't be yourself, and don't drink the alcohol. You can make the argument that I am prejudiced and I should probably do a bit more research on the subject, but I'm unemployed. I don't have time. Let's go very deep onto this issue. Let's tackle this properly, once and for all. You see, the self-help experts, they're just the vanguard. They're the vanguard of a much broader, deeper set of experts in this thing called the priesthood. And this includes other such experts like HR managers, data scientists, business consultants, legal teams, communications experts whose job is to pre-clear everything before it goes out. And they're all part of an apparatus. This is an apparatus that is designed to render the future legible in advance, so they know everything that's going to happen. Why are they going to do this? They're part of the techno-industrial state. It's like a factory, you see? And all the inputs, they need to be predictable. You got to have predictable human inputs. You got to have predictable supply chains. You got to have predictable algorithms. Without this, the system crumbles. And this is the system we have. This is the way it's going to be done, apparently. Last week, I ended the episode talking about, hey, it's Saturday. I discovered that that old Australian variety show hasn't aired in like 30 years. Something I used to watch when I was a kid. And yeah, I spotted it on the YouTubes, reruns that have been recently uploaded, and I was really impressed. It was so random. I haven't seen anything that random in a while. Like really random. I'm just talking about the people on there and the situations. You'd have like really famous people and like really ordinary people put in these kind of no rules situations where they get to interact and they end up insulting the hell out of each other, but they don't really give a shit, and they say the kinds of things that would probably get you like cancelled these days, and I found it very refreshing. I thought it's like a celebration of life, and I laughed a lot. It made me kind of happy. It's like, oh, I wish there was more of this. Why haven't I seen this kind of stuff in a while? Maybe it exists. Maybe I'm just a lazy bastard and I'm not looking in the right places. Maybe it's the feed. I guess that kind of gets me to my next point, right? What happened to the celebration of life? Well, there is no celebration of life. The celebration of life in entertainment is gone for the same reason that the celebration of life in general is dead. Yeah, it's dead. It's been clamped down. It's been extinguished. I know it's tough news, but those are the truths. I said we're going deep today. I'm not kidding around. Yeah, it's been clamped down by the system, to make everything as boring and as miserable as possible. Try and make everyone as predictable as possible. I have experiences related to this, and probably some of the best examples are job interviews. I had a lot of amazingly crappy job interviews throughout my life, but let's use all that industrial techno state stuff as a justification to talk about job interviews. When I was about 20, I don't know, early 20s or something, going through uni, I had a job interview to become a casual catering assistant. Yeah, because I needed money. And it just seemed like it would step up from dishwasher. Figured, oh yeah, I got those skills to bring to my next iteration of serving the workforce. And some of the interview questions were really weird. They asked me at one point, what do you do when everything just gets too much for you to handle? And I sort of thought about the question, and that's a kind of strange question. It's kind of premised on the idea that you've already given up. What do you do once you've given up? Like, call your mum, sort of cry in the bathroom or something. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Maybe I was supposed to attack the premise of her question, but that seems a little too much for a catering assistant position. Not exactly applying for Google. And I said some nonsense, right? I said, I take a deep breath and I have some water. I could tell she wasn't really impressed by the answer, but you know what? I got the job. But I think the reason I got the job was because it's a crap job and no one else really wanted it. No, the reason I got the job is because I used to work for the same company as a dishwasher, so they knew I wasn't going to dampen their operation. Anyway, that's one example of the industrial techno state asking nonsense questions. I applied to be a police officer when I was like 30. That was a long process. Anyway, I only got like halfway through it, and we had the interview, the glorious interview. I've always been terrible at interviews, but they asked me this one very tricky question. It's kind of like an online video auto interview. It's not like a real person. So the screen shouts questions at you, and you answer it as smoothly as possible. This really tricky question came up, and it was, why do you want to join the police? And yeah, I kind of panicked, right? Because I knew what I wanted to say. Like, I need a job, seems like a good job. But at the same time, I knew that wasn't the answer they were looking for. And I ended up kind of waffling through it. Some nonsense about like communities and making a difference or something. But yeah, I knew I'd flunked it. I knew I'd failed that. The system had flagged me. I couldn't say the expected answer. Guess I just didn't have the skills, or I could also make the argument that I had too much respect for the unknown. A lot of this system, it doesn't respect the unknown. It wants to make the future legible. Wants to know everything in advance. But that's just me. I respect. I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to tell you like, oh, I'm gonna be really good at this, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm gonna like cause an uproar, end up dividing society. Maybe I'm gonna arrest myself, right? That's it. The system filtered me out. I went back to doing something. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. That's right. After that, I thought, I should set my sights lower. Maybe being a cop, maybe I'm overshooting a little bit, right? I applied to be one of those train bitches. You're like, what's a train bitch? Yeah, so the company that operates the trains, the subway system, and the metro system, I should say, in Victoria, Australia, they had this position. I don't know what it's called. It's called the train person. There are these people, and they just stand around the subway stations and stuff, and that's it. They kind of wear a suit. They look kind of professional, and they wear these like high visibility vests, and they stand around and they do stuff. They're doing stuff. I thought, oh, okay, I can do that. I can stand around and do stuff. So I had some screenings. It's always a long process with these things, and I passed the first couple of screenings. I was very proud of myself. Had the interview, and I go in there, and it's like a group interview. And I've never had this before. And they got us to sit around each other in a table in this group activity. And there was a scenario. We're going to space. And there are 10 things that we can maybe take with us, but we have to prioritize. What's the most important thing? So number 1, 2, 3, all the way to number 10. And that's it. There's 6 of you or something. I can't remember how many. 6 of us or something around a table, and the HR bitches, they're all standing around with their like folders and stuff and their pens, scribbling notes, and they're just like, go. Now, me being a miserable introvert, I kind of flunked that one. And there was like one guy who did all of the heavy lifting, the very confident, boisterous character, very extroverted. Everyone else got like a couple of words in. And kind of felt a little bit humiliated there. And I kind of regretted it. I was like, well, you could have asked if I was an extrovert at the beginning of the screening process. I never even see these trained bitches talk. They just kind of stand around. I mean, I'm sure that there's like an emergency every now and then, but like, filtered by the system, yet again. Technological industrial system. It's really unfortunate to go home with my tails between my legs. Tail between my legs. And you're wondering, hey, what's the point here? You're kind of going on a lot about, like, you were talking about self-help gurus and then like, hey, it's Saturday and jobs and stuff. No, you don't understand. I'm doing the weave. This is like the weave. It's like, looks kind of random. You might think I'm drunk, but I'm navigating. I'm navigating the topic. All right. Steve Jobs, he had this very memorable speech he gave. And he talked about only really being able to understand life retrospectively. It's like a speech he gave at some university. And he came up with this phrase, like, connecting the dots. And he said, you can only connect the dots retroactively. Connecting the dots, looking back on your life. And you get to make sense on your life, looking back at it. And you kind of like, build a pattern of events leading to where you are now. He said, yeah, it's only possible retroactively. You never know what's going to bring you to a particular point in time or situation. But the priesthood, the apparatus of future legibility, they're connecting the dots forwards. They're going the opposite direction. They're doing the wrong thing. They're not doing what Steve Jobs said to do. They must have misinterpreted it. They misinterpreted what he said, and now they're going forwards in time. And I think that's really unfortunate. I think this pattern of thinking has sucked a lot of life out of entertainment, and it's made the average person's experience of like job hunting really annoying. And yeah, it's brought to the forefront all these self-help people telling you how to behave, conditioning you. But you know, these the priesthood, you know, it's just the middle management. We can't really blame them. You know, the priesthood with the self-help people telling you how to behave, when to get up, to optimize your life. And then there are the HR managers. They're like the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers of whether or not you can really become a functioning member of the system, or at least what level of the system you shall be allotted to. And then there are the data scientists. I talked about the data scientists in another video, so I didn't really get into detail with them here. But yeah, they, you know, they build the systems. They build the engines that quantify your future narrative and how valuable you will be. And I'm just being a whiny little bitch. I'm saying how unfortunate it is that this is what's happened to continued existence. Sure, it benefits some people. What can you do about it? Well, there's two options, aren't there? You can fight back against it. Just speak your mind in the job interview. Don't say what they want you to say. Say the wrong thing instead of the right thing. Fight back. You know, if enough people do that, maybe it'll collapse. Maybe the revolution won't be televised. And the other option is to join the system. Become a figurehead. The kind of guy that decides what happens to the average fella, lady. I've already opted which decision to make. At the late age of 40. But I feel like there needs to be a balance between the people that opt to choose in and the people that opt to choose out. Because otherwise it's going to be complete anarchy or something akin to 1984. Well, we don't want that, do we? Can't have that. We're not going to talk about that. Today's episode is brought to you by Lemon Grab. If you found the content of this video helpful and it has improved your outlook on life, please feel free to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Do you want to choose to join the techno-industrial state, or are you going to burn it down? No judgment either way. Thanks for listening.